84/7 frames, 6 long hours, and in every single one, a face, pressed against the window. Seat 17B, you see. The only problem? That seat, it was empty, the entire trip. Miami-Dade Transit Police, they reviewed every single frame. Like a scene from a bad movie, really. Ran facial recognition, enhanced the image. 47 times. The face, though, oh, it was clear. Male, late 30s, eyes open, staring right at the camera. And here's the kicker, the detail that sealed the file for good. The face, it didn't blink, not once. 847 frames, 6 hours, not a single solitary blink. The poor soul in 17A. Right next to this empty yet occupied window, she reported feeling watched. The entire trip. Filed a complaint naturally when she got off. Claimed something was breathing on her neck for 6 hours. She demanded they check the cameras, and thank goodness she did. Now, look, a quick pause. 91% of you watching this aren't subscribed. If this unsettling tale, this absolute absurdity doesn't make sense to you either, perhaps clicking subscribe might just help things along. Just 1 second. Because what the facial recognition software eventually identified, well, that made the footage seem almost normal. The face in the window, it matched. A passenger manifest from 2018 from a crash on this exact route. The bus, it veered off the Miami Trail into a canal. 12 people died. He was one of them, and he'd been appearing in windows on this route ever since. But this was different. 6 straight hours. On camera, just watching. Greyhound Route 1501, Miami to Fort Myers. Departure, a crisp 11:43 p.m. Friday night, late September. 51 passengers, blissfully unaware. The AC, God bless it, was valiantly battling South Florida's stubborn humidity. A losing fight, mind you. That thick air, it seeped through every seam. Mixed with body heat and the ever-present diesel exhaust, these buses, they never truly let go of that smell. Lights were dimmed, of course. Most people wore headphones, lost in their own little worlds. Some were asleep, others just scrolling. That glazed late-night stare, a universal language. Row 17, aisle seat. Meet Patricia Vega. 52, heading to Fort Myers to see her daughter. She was awake, always. 30 years of commuting had taught her, you don't sleep on buses. She had a book, a thriller no less. Page 47, serial killer stuff. Fitting, perhaps. She hadn't turned a page in 20 minutes because something felt wrong. It started 15 minutes after departure, right after they hit the Miami Trail. That feeling of being watched. You know it, don't you? That primal crawl between your shoulder blades. That absolute certainty someone's eyes are on you. She looked around, subtly of course. No one. No one was paying attention. The passenger across the aisle, asleep. The teenager in front, earbuds firmly in place. The old man, 2 rows back, glued to his iPad. The seat next to her, 17B, window seat, empty. It had been empty since departure. She'd specifically chosen an aisle seat, hoping for space, for luck. Except she didn't feel lucky. She felt watched. She tried to focus on her book. Impossible. The sensation, it grew, stronger. She shifted, pulled her cardigan tighter. Useless. It wasn't going away. It was intensifying. She glanced at the empty seat. Nothing. Just dark windows, reflecting the bus's interior lights. The swamp outside, a black blur. Cypress trees, endless, inky darkness. But when she looked away, she swore she saw movement just at the edge of her vision, like someone leaning forward in that empty seat. She looked back. Nothing. This charade, it continued. 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. Every time she averted her gaze from the window, she felt that subtle shift beside her. Every time she looked directly at 17B, empty. Always empty. At the 2-hour mark, she finally mustered the courage to do the one thing she'd been desperately avoiding. Slowly, her hand reached out, waved it through the space where a person should be. Her hand passed through cold air, significantly colder than the rest of the bus. So cold, she pulled back immediately, checking her fingers, as if to make sure they were still there. And that's when she heard it, right next to her ear. So quiet, she almost convinced herself it was imagination. Breathing. Slow, steady. The kind of breathing someone does when they're awake and trying desperately to remain calm. Patricia hit the call button. For the driver. Then again. And again. The driver's voice crackled through the speaker. Yes? Patricia stopped. How do you articulate the impossible? I need to change seats. We'll be stopping in Weston, the driver replied, flatly. 40 minutes. You can move then. I need to move, now. Ma'am, I can't stop the bus. Not on the trail. Patricia unbuckled, stood up, moved to row 14, 2 empty seats. An elderly woman across the aisle gave her a look of deep concern. Patricia offered no explanation, just sat, closed her eyes, tried to rationalize it. Anxiety, stress, too much coffee maybe. But when she opened her eyes and looked back at row 17, she saw something that turned her blood to solid ice. The window, seat 17B, condensation, fog, like someone had been breathing against the glass from the inside. And in that fog, a mark, a smudge, like a face pressed against the window, looking in. Patricia didn't sleep the rest of the trip, every glance back. At row 17, the condensation was still there. Around 3 a.m., a passenger walked past, heading to the bathroom. On his return, he paused at row 17, stared at the window, then kept walking. Didn't sit back down in his original seat. 3 rows behind, he chose row 10 instead. Smart man. The bus arrived in Fort Myers at 5:47 a.m. Patricia was the last one off. She marched directly to the Greyhound counter, demanded to file a complaint. The attendant, polite but clearly exhausted, asked, "What's the nature of your complaint?" "Check your security cameras. Bus 1501, row 17. Something was in that seat." The attendant typed, "Ma'am, seat 17B wasn't assigned. It was empty." The entire trip. "I know it was empty. That's the problem. Check the cameras." It took 3 days, multiple calls, before Patricia finally got a call back. Not from Greyhound, of course, from Miami-Dade Transit Police. Detective Carlos Reyes, a 20-year veteran. He'd seen it all. Assaults, thefts, medical emergencies, but never anything that required him to watch 6 hours of security footage, frame by painstaking frame. Until now. "Ms. Vega," he said, his voice grave, "we reviewed the footage from your trip. I need to ask you some questions." "Did you see it?" she pressed. "Did you see what I was talking about?" "I need you to come to the station." When Patricia arrived, Detective Reyes had the footage queued on a monitor. "I'm going to show you something," he began. "I need you to tell me if this is what you experienced." He pressed play. The angle was from the front of the bus, looking back. Row 17, clear as day. Patricia in 17A. Seat 17B, empty. Except, in the window, there was a face. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God!" "Keep watching," Reyes urged. He fast-forwarded through the footage, every frame, every minute, for 6 hours. The face was there, pressed against the window, never moving, never blinking, just staring directly at the camera. "How is that possible?" Patricia whispered. "That," Reyes stated, "is what we're trying to figure out." He paused the footage. On a clear frame. The face was male, 35 to 40, short, dark hair, eyes open, expression neutral. "Do you recognize this person?" "No," she breathed. "I never saw anyone in that seat." "No one did. We interviewed 8 other passengers from your bus." "Nobody saw anyone in 17B, but everyone who sat within 3 rows of that seat reported the same thing, feeling watched, feeling cold. 3 people even changed seats mid-trip." Reyes pulled up another file. "We ran the face through facial recognition. Got a hit in our system." He showed her a driver's license photo. The same face. Miguel Ortega, age 38, resident of Hialeah. "So, you found him?" "No." Reyes's expression darkened. "We can't find him. Miguel Ortega. He died 7 years ago." The room went very quiet. "He was a passenger on Greyhound Route 1501, the same route as yours, Miami to Fort Myers, March 17, 2018. The bus crashed on the Tamiami Trail around 3:30 a.m., went through the guardrail into a canal. 12 people died. Miguel was one of them." Patricia stared at the frozen image. "The face in the window, that's impossible." "We thought so too, until we pulled the crash footage from 2018. Reyes opened another file, security footage from inside a bus. Different bus, different passengers, same angle. He pointed. This was Miguel's seat, row 17B, window seat. Patricia's throat tightened. The same seat. The same seat. Reyes advanced the footage, frame by frame, showed the moment of impact, the bus veering, passengers thrown forward, then water, chaos. The footage cut out. Investigators recovered the bus a week later. All 12 bodies accounted for. Miguel was still in his seatbelt, still in row 17B. Coroner ruled cause of death drowning. The bus sank in 8 feet of water. He never got out. Why is he in the window? We don't know, but this isn't the first report. Reyes pulled a file folder. It was thick. Since 2018, we've had 47 complaints from passengers on Route 1501, all describing the same thing: feeling watched, cold air, condensation on windows in row 17. Most were dismissed, anxiety, stress. But you didn't dismiss mine. No, because yours was different. You filed your complaint at 6:15 a.m., before we could even pull the footage. And when we did pull it, your description matched perfectly. Most people come in days or weeks later after convincing themselves something happened. You came in immediately, which means you weren't manufacturing a memory. You were reporting what you actually experienced. Reyes opened another file. Crash scene photos. The bus being pulled from the canal. Dark water. Rescue divers. And one photo that made Patricia's stomach churn. The window. Row 17B. From outside the submerged bus. A face pressed against it. Mouth open. eyes wide, hands against the glass. "This," Reyes said quietly, "was taken by a recovery diver. The body was still in the seat when they took this, still strapped in." Patricia couldn't stop staring. The photo, the face, Miguel Ortega, trapped underwater, trying to get out. "Miss Vega," Reyes leaned forward, his voice dropped, "I need to tell you something. And I need you to keep this confidential." He paused. "The footage from your bus, we enhanced it, ran it through audio analysis, even though there shouldn't be any audio from that security angle. But there was something, a signal, faint, like interference." "What kind of signal?" "Tapping against glass, rhythmic. It matched the frequency of someone knocking from inside." Patricia's blood ran cold. From inside the window? From inside the bus, specifically from the area around seat 17B. For 6 hours, someone was knocking, trying to get out. But the seat was empty. The seat was empty, but the window wasn't. Detective Reyes then walked Patricia through the technical analysis because, even the supernatural needs a paper trail. The footage, it was reviewed by 3 different agencies: Transit Police, FBI Digital Forensics, and a very expensive private consultant who specializes in images that shouldn't exist. All 3. The footage was unaltered. What appeared on camera was what was actually there. Well, for the camera anyway. But there was a problem. The face, it isn't visible from inside the bus, Reyes explained, a hint of weary exasperation in his voice. It's only visible from the camera angle, which means whatever creates that image, that reflection, it's only appearing to the camera, not to human eyes. "Then how," Patricia pressed, "did I feel it? How did other passengers feel it?" Reyes sighed. "That is the million-dollar question we cannot answer." He pulled up thermal imaging reports. "Because when you can't see a ghost, you try to feel its chill. After your complaint, we placed thermal cameras on Route 1501, ran them for 2 weeks, every trip, different buses, different passengers." He showed her the results. Most frames, normal heat signatures, body temperature, nice and toasty. But in 17 separate trips, an anomaly. Seat 17B, a cold spot. Not freezing, mind you, but consistently 15 to 20 degrees cooler than ambient temperature. Unnerving. Cold spots, Reyes elaborated, appearing in the same seat, different buses, only on Route 1501, only on overnight trips, and only between mile marker 34 and mile marker 58. Of the Miami Trail. "Where did the crash happen?" Patricia asked, her voice tight. "Mile marker 47. Patricia processed this. So for 14 miles of highway, something is appearing in that seat? Not appearing, manifesting. The thermal signatures show it grows stronger as the bus approaches mile marker 47. Peaks at the crash site, then fades as the bus continues west." He showed her a graph, because even the paranormal has data points. Temperature readings plotted against GPS coordinates. The line dropped steadily as the bus approached the crash site. At mile marker 47, the temperature in seat 17B plunged to 64 degrees. Then climbed back up as the bus moved away. "It's like a bell curve," Reyes mused, "but inverted." "We call it a manifestation gradient," he continued, sounding like a very tired college professor. "Whatever this is, it's strongest at the exact location where Miguel Ortega died." Patricia had to ask the obvious question. "Do you think it's him? His ghost?" Reyes considered this carefully. "I don't use that word in official reports. But off the record, yes, I think something of Miguel Ortega is trapped on that route, specifically in that seat. I think he's reliving the moment of the crash over and over. But the crash happened at 3:30 a.m., she pointed out. My bus was there at 2:45 a.m. Correct, which means it's not a time loop. It's a location loop. He's not trapped in a specific moment. He's trapped in a specific place. And every time a bus passes through that location, he appears, trying to get out of the water that drowned him 7 years ago. The weight of that settled over Patricia, a physical thing. He's been drowning for 7 years? I don't think he knows he's been drowning for 7 years. Based on the psychological profiles we've consulted, he likely experiences it as a continuous event. The crash, the water, the attempt to escape. It never ends, because from his perspective, it never started. He's frozen in the moment between alive and dead. Reyes showed her one more piece of evidence. This is the part that convinced me. This is real, not mass hysteria, not equipment failure. He pulled up microscope images. The condensation on the window. We collected samples from 3 different buses after passengers reported the same phenomenon, tested the chemical composition. The report, it showed analysis of the fog residue. It's not water vapor, it's human breath, carbon dioxide, mucus, saliva enzymes, everything you'd find in breath condensation. But the isotope ratios are wrong. Wrong how? They're old. The carbon-14 content suggests the organic material is from 2018. And there's something else. Dissolved minerals in the condensation. They match the chemical composition of water from that canal, the one the bus crashed into. Patricia felt sick. You're saying he's breathing canal water on the windows? I'm saying whatever appears in that seat is exhaling the same water that killed him over and over for 7 years. The bus company's response to all of this? Well, they're nothing if not practical. They removed row 17 entirely. New buses on Route 1501, they don't have a row 17. The seat numbering jumps from 16 to 18. Neatly solved. But the old buses, the ones already in service, couldn't be retrofitted, not without a full reconstruction. So they retired those buses from overnight service on that route. Except one. Bus 4471, Reyes stated. It's still running. Different route now, but it used to run 1501. And passengers on its current route have started reporting the same thing, feeling watched, cold spots, row 17B. So it followed the bus? Patricia asked. No, the bus is different. The route is different, but it's passing through the same GPS coordinates, mile marker 47 of the Miami Trail, because that's part of the new route. 2. Patricia stared at him, the horrifying truth dawning. It's not about the bus, she whispered. It's about the location. Exactly. It's about the location. Any bus that passes through that 14-mile stretch, any vehicle. We've had reports from truckers, from people driving personal cars. They all describe the same thing. On that stretch of highway, late at night, something is wrong. They feel watched. Their car temperature drops. And if they look in their rearview mirror, at the right moment, they see a face that isn't there. How many people know about this? Officially, 12 investigators. Unofficially, thousands. It's in the driver logs now. An unwritten rule. Don't talk about row 17. Don't acknowledge the code. Don't look at the window. And whatever you do, don't stop between mile markers 34 and 58 after midnight. Why not? Reyes's expression went dark. Because 3 drivers have stopped. Called in mechanical issues, you see, pulled over on the shoulder. All three reported the same thing: someone knocking on the bus door from outside. When they looked, no one was there, but when they reviewed the security footage later, they could see him. Miguel? Miguel, standing outside the bus, knocking on the door, mouth moving like he's talking, but no sound, just knocking over and over. Until the driver started the bus again and drove away. What was he trying to say? Lip readers analyzed the footage. He's saying the same thing over and over for 6 minutes straight. Patricia didn't want to ask, but she had to. What is he saying? Let me out, let me out, let me out. He thinks he's still in the bus. He thinks it's still underwater, and he's begging someone to open the door and save him. But the doors can't open underwater. No, they can't, which means for 7 years, Miguel Ortega has been trapped in a submerged bus, pounding on glass, screaming for help, with no one able to hear him because he's not in a bus anymore. He's in whatever comes after, and he doesn't know he's dead. Detective Reyes, bless his cynical heart, wasn't supposed to talk about the other cases, but he did anyway. See, Patricia, she became what he called a confirmed witness, someone who experienced the impossible and had it verified by objective documentation. A rare breed indeed. Most people, they convince themselves they imagined it. The ones who don't, well, they usually stay quiet, don't want to sound insane. A perfectly reasonable fear, I suppose. But there are 17 documented locations across the United States where similar events occur: bus routes, train lines, even commercial flight paths, places where vehicles pass through coordinates, where fatal accidents happened. And in those locations, passengers report the same experiences: feeling watched, temperature anomalies, sensing presences that simply aren't there. The phenomenon, it has a name in investigative circles, Reyes informed her. Trapped manifestation syndrome. The theory is certain types of death, specifically deaths that involve confinement, helplessness, and sheer panic, can create a kind of psychic residue. The person dies, but their final moments of consciousness, they remain active, frozen in place, reliving the trauma. How is that possible? Patricia whispered. Nobody knows, not really. Quantum physicists, they talk about consciousness as a field, not just a product of the brain. If that's true, and if consciousness can exist independent of a body, then trauma, it might just anchor it to a specific location, like a recording that plays on loop eternally. He showed her a map, red dots marking the 17 known locations, most in remote areas, highways through deserts, mountain passes, waterways, places where rescue would be delayed or impossible. The pattern is consistent: accidents with high fatalities, victims trapped inside vehicles, extended time before rescue or recovery. And in every case, some percentage of future passengers report feeling watched or experiencing paranormal phenomena at the exact GPS coordinates of the original accident. Is anyone researching this? Scientists? Universities? Unofficially, yes, but there's no funding for it. No one wants to publicly acknowledge that ghosts might be real. So the research happens in private. Data gets collected, patterns get analyzed, and nothing gets published. A knowing shrug. What have they found? Reyes pulled up a research document labeled Confidential Analysis, Recurring Manifestation Incidents 2010-2025. He wasn't supposed to have this. But Patricia sensed he was sharing it because he needed someone else to know, someone who would believe it. They've identified 3 types of manifestations. Type 1, environmental, temperature changes, electromagnetic interference, equipment malfunctions. No visual, no auditory phenomena. This is the most common. Type 2, sensory. Passengers feel presences, hear sounds, smell things that aren't there, but nothing appears on camera or recording equipment. This is what most passengers on Route 1501 experience. Type 3, documented, visual manifestations that appear on camera, audio recordings that capture unexplained sounds, physical evidence. Like your condensation samples, this is the rarest and the most disturbing. Why disturbing? Because type 3 manifestations are getting stronger. In 2010, there were 3 documented type 3 incidents nationwide. In 2020, 17. Last year, 41. And this year, we're already at 36. With 4 months left, they're accelerating, they're intensifying. Whatever process creates these manifestations, it's getting more powerful or more desperate. The researchers can't agree which. Patricia had to ask the question that had been gnawing at her. Could Miguel reach out? Could he touch someone? We don't know. So far, every type 3 manifestation has been visual or auditory. There's one documented case of physical contact. A passenger on a train felt someone grab their arm, but when they looked, no one was there, and the security footage showed nothing. But they felt it. They felt it. And when medical examiners checked, there were fingerprint-shaped bruises on their arm. The bruises matched the hand size and grip pattern of a victim from a train derailment that happened 30 years earlier. That means they're real. They can interact with our world. In rare circumstances, yes, but the interaction is limited. A touch, a push, a sound. Nothing sustained, nothing violent. It's like they're reaching across a barrier, but can only push through for a moment. What do you think happens, Patricia ventured, if the barrier breaks? Reyes didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was quiet. I think we'd have a bigger problem than cold spots on buses. He showed her one more file. Incident reports. From a subway line in New York. A train derailed in 1994, killing 23 people. For years afterward, passengers reported seeing figures in the tunnel as their trains passed the crash site. Visual manifestations, type 3, but contained, fleeting. Then, in 2019, something changed. A passenger recorded video on their phone as their train passed through the tunnel. In the video, you can see them, not just one figure, 23, standing in the tunnel, facing the train. All of them with their hands raised, palms out, like they're pushing against glass. The video went viral, millions of views. Transit Authority dismissed it as CGI or a hoax, but we analyzed it frame by frame. It's real. What happened to the people on that train? Nothing. The figures didn't move, didn't approach, just stood there, watching. But here's what concerns me. 3 weeks later, the same tunnel, a different train, more video. The figures are closer to the tracks. Still not moving, just closer. And now the Transit Authority reroutes trains around that section after dark. Officially, it's for track maintenance. Unofficially, they're afraid the figures will reach the tracks, and nobody knows what happens if one of them touches a moving train. You think they could stop it? I think something that can manifest physically in our world, that can create bruises and cold spots and condensation, something like that could potentially interact with a physical object. And if 23 people who died in a crash tried to stop a train in the same location where they died, I think we'd see casualties. You're saying these aren't ghosts, they're warnings. No, I'm saying these aren't ghosts, they're prisoners, and they're trying to get out. Miguel Ortega, trapped at mile marker 47 of the Miami Trail for 7 years. That's 2,555 days. If you calculate how many buses pass through that location on an average night, roughly 12, then Miguel has been knocking on windows, begging for help over 30,000 times. 30,000 times he's experienced drowning. 30,000 times he's pressed his face against glass, trying to breathe, trying to escape. 30,000 times no one could help him. And folks, he's not alone. Patricia asked Reyes how many others were trapped, like Miguel. Reyes, he pulled up another file, one he definitely wasn't supposed to show her. Missing persons cases, specifically missing persons cases where the victim was last seen on public transit. In the last 20 years, Reyes explained, his voice low, 847 people have vanished. From buses, trains, planes, and ships. Most are classified as runaways or voluntary disappearances, but 139 of those cases, they involve security footage, and in all 139 cases, the footage shows the same thing. The person is there one frame, gone the next. No door opened, no explanation. You think they're trapped, like Miguel? I think some of them are, not all, but some. And if the pattern holds, if trauma and confinement create these manifestations, then we have 139 people potentially reliving their deaths over and over in locations all over the world. Why don't more people know about this? Because most people who experience it, they convince themselves it didn't happen. And the ones who don't, well, they stay quiet, don't want to be labeled crazy. You, Patricia, you're one of the few who followed through, who demanded evidence, who wouldn't let it go. Patricia hasn't ridden a bus since. She drives now. But sometimes, late at night, when she's on the Miami Trail, she'll glance at the mile markers. And when she passes mile marker 47, she makes sure not to look at the shoulder, because she knows if she looks, she might see him, Miguel Ortega, standing in the dark, watching cars pass, waiting for someone to stop, waiting for someone to let him out. Detective Reyes retired last year, officially health reasons. Unofficially, he told Patricia the truth. I can't keep investigating this. Every case I close opens 2 more. And I'm starting to see him, not just in footage, in person. Last month, I was driving home, past the crash site, and I saw him, Miguel, standing on the shoulder, looking right at me. I didn't stop, but I think about it every day. What if I'd stopped? What if I'd opened the door? Could I help him? Or would you have joined him? The question, it hung in the air between them. A chilling silence. Here's what you need to know, folks. Route 1501, it still runs. The buses still pass through mile marker 47, and passengers still report feeling watched. The company, in their infinite wisdom, installed new security cameras, better resolution, better angle coverage. And in the footage from last month, Miguel is there. But he's not alone anymore. There's a second face in the window now. Same expression, same pressing against the glass, same desperate look. Facial recognition hasn't identified them yet, but someone filed a missing persons report 6 weeks ago. A passenger on Route 1501. Last seen on security footage at 3:42 a.m., somewhere between mile markers 34 and 58. They never got off the bus, but they're in the window now, next to Miguel, which means the manifestations aren't just stronger, they're contagious. I want you to think about something, just for a moment. Have you ever taken a long bus trip? Late at night? through empty stretches of highway? Have you ever felt watched, felt cold, changed seats because something just felt wrong? Check your photos from that trip. Look at the windows and the background. Really look, because if you see a face that wasn't there when you took the photo, a face pressed against glass, looking in or looking out, then you didn't imagine it. You witnessed it. And here's the question I'll leave you with, my friends. If Miguel Ortega has been reliving his drowning for 7 years, knocking on windows, begging for help, and if that second face in the window means someone else has joined him, how many more passengers will vanish before someone figures out how to open the door? Or worse, what if opening the door is exactly what you're not supposed to do? What if they're not trying to get out? What if they're trying to get you in? Miguel's lips move on camera, "Let me out." But lip readers, they notice something. In the last footage, the movement is slightly different now. They ran it through analysis again. He's not saying, "Let me out," anymore. He's saying, "Let yourself out." Like he's warning the next person, the person who will sit in row 17B and feel the cold air and hear the breathing and think it's just anxiety or stress or too much coffee. The person who will press their face against the window and fog the glass. And the next bus that passes through mile marker 47 at 3:47 a.m. will have 3 faces in the window instead of 2. So if you're ever on Route 1501 late at night and you're assigned seat 17B, ask for a different seat. And if they tell you the bus is full and that's the only seat left, take a different bus. Because Miguel Ortega, he's been waiting 7 years for someone to sit next to him. And he's very, very patient.